Service is to help promote the U.S. economy with accurate forecasting. Studies show that for every dollar spent on weather forecasting, $8 in earnings or savings is returned to the overall economy.
If you think about it, it makes sense. If we're expecting significant weather and if we're able to forecast that, that allows people to prepare. For example, if you think about a frost forecast in places like Florida or Southern California, that allows growers to go out and cover their fruit trees or whatever other agriculture. In terms of the economy here locally, if we're expecting lowland snow, for example, that can have an impact on the commute, and people are late to work, or we can have accidents, or it makes it hard to move goods around. And so the ability to forecast weather that will have an impact on our society, that allows us to mitigate the impact of that weather and prepare for it.
The importance of weather forecasting is extremely critical in the Pacific Northwest with our deep-seated interest in outdoor recreational activity. Back at the new Dungeness Light Station, Barry Dove says anyone who spends any time on or near water relies heavily on weather forecasts that are produced by a new digital weather station at the lighthouse.
Well, this is the part of the weather station. It's the outdoor part. It's where all the sensors are. And it works on radio frequency, sort of a Wi-Fi system. The sensors pick up the information and it relays it to the barn. And what it does, it gives us wind speed, pressure, whether the barometer is rising or falling. It gives us, it's got an automatic rain gauge.
The data is updated every 30 minutes to ensure the safety of those out on the water.
When we put a weather station in here at the light station, it was a boon to us kayakers because we were able to check and see the weather, exactly what it was doing before we actually departed the mainland. Instead of watching the flag, to see what's happening and guessing, and if the barometer is rising or falling, the weather station tells us that, so we know, and how rapidly it's rising and falling. So it's been a tremendous boon to us in that way.
While great advancements have been made in computer forecast models, Professor Cliff Mass of the University of Washington says the Pacific Northwest is still lacking in one area: coastal radar.
The rest of the country has pretty good radar coverage, especially the eastern and central parts of the United States. But the Pacific Northwest has the worst coastal radar coverage of any place in the continental United States. Basically, we cannot see offshore of Oregon or Washington, and we have virtually no coverage over the coastal zones, over land here in Washington. What this does is it prevents us from seeing weather systems coming in off the ocean, and substantially undermines the skill that we have in forecasting over 12 or 24 hours. Now, in the rest of the country, where you don't have mountains, you can still see quite a distance around you. But here in the Northwest, when we have mountains between us and the ocean, we're blocked and we can't see what's coming in. Satellites look at the outside of the weather systems. The radar allows you to see inside, just like a CAT scan can. And that's what we need to forecast the weather well.
Ideally, Mass says he'd like to see the installation of 2 Doppler radar stations, one on the coast of Washington and the other on Oregon's coast. He estimates that each facility would cost $3 to $4 million, plus land and installation costs.
But the price of the radar could be saved in just a single storm. You could save enough money from protecting, crucial power lines or whatever to more than pay for the thing.
With that radar there, you could be able to see out 125 miles further out into the ocean. We can't do that today.
Ted Beener says it would take an act of Congress to implement coastal radar in the Pacific Northwest. So far, the money has not been appropriated. But Beener thinks money spent on coastal radar in the Northwest will be money well spent.
As you know, the weather here on the West Coast eventually finds its way to the Central and East Coast, so everybody across the nation, at least in the lower 48, will be able to share in the benefit on that.
The benefit of knowing what lurks over the horizon is something we take for granted, yet it affects just about every aspect of our lives. Whether it's you or your family, your pets or livestock, driving to work or protecting your home, a lot rides on how much we know about the complex weather of the Northwest.
We complain about it, start conversations with it, use it as an icebreaker with strangers. Weather is part of our identity. The first thing you remember about a place when you arrive, and probably the last thing you remember when you leave. As we ponder this natural light show, this non-stop melodrama in the sky, it's good to know that weather is forever changing. If you don't like what you see, just wait a few minutes or drive a few miles. It will change. I'm Rebecca Stevenson.